everybody. Welcome back to the JY podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Spiral, a Saw story. And we have a few opinions about this movie. Overall, though, there's not too much to say about it. It's only an hour and a half. But we're going to start with the positives, as usual, and then go on to the negatives.
Yeah, for the Saw movies, like one of the things usually you think about is the traps. And if you're going to see how these traps are in the movie, this movie does hold up with it. It does a good job with the traps. And that's pretty much all I liked about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find stuff that I liked about it. It was so boring. I guess the conclusion was okay, and by conclusion I mean like the very last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I agree about like the ending. It was kind of good, but it was also pretty garbage at the same time. So spoilers ahead now when we get into our rant of the negatives. First thing I want to talk about is just, yeah, that ending and twist was so insanely predictable. I mean, in theaters halfway through, when they showed the dead body without the flashback or without the tape, you knew right then and there, like, oh, the partner is probably going to be the new Jigsaw. And we were right. Like, they didn't even try to do a good job of hiding it. It was so stupid.
Yeah, I think we in the theater jokingly said, like, as soon as they showed the partner, we were like, yeah, that guy's Jigsaw. And then it turned out to be true. That's how predictable it was. And then I think the rest of it also is pretty predictable. Like, you can just look at a trap. Another spoiler is that everyone who gets in a trap dies. Nobody passes. And so, like, after the first two, you're like, okay, well, this guy's gonna die. There's no suspense. Like, you know?
Yeah. It was like pretty much everyone getting trapped, and it was just formatted like who's next to die. There was like no one that escaped. Like maybe if they had one of the persons escape, or like maybe have you think for the next person to trap, will he escape or not? But you just knew by like the third trap, oh, they're dead. They're not going to survive. And I don't know. I just felt like it was just kind of lame.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the way they like got to the traps was so repetitive. It would just be something like somebody does something that Banks doesn't want him to do, and they get like caught by the Jigsaw man, and then get in a trap, and then rinse and repeat. Do that like 3 or 4 times. There was never any, like what difference. Like, I'm saying.
Yeah. And in this movie, they like redid that pig jump scare like 3 different times. But then I was like, okay, first time fine, second time okay, third time like you're getting repetitive with it because people just know at that point the pig is gonna pop up. But yeah, also speaking of that, I just really hated the new Jigsaw voice they chose. It just sounded like stupid, like a student fan made film.
No, I didn't personally care, but like, I guess it is just worse than the original. So
Yeah. Um Also, Chris Rock character and his acting in this movie was just stale, kind of like I predicted from the trailers and everything. I mean, yeah, in this movie, he didn't really shine as an actor, even though he's the main character. And the one thing that just I always think of now with was garbage acting in this movie was the scene where he finds out his partner dies. Like the face he makes is so dumb. It like supposed to be sad. And I don't know if he didn't understand that, but he did such a bad job.
yeah, I think he's fine in like the regular scenes, but as soon as any amount of emotion is required from him, he falls apart completely. Like he went I think it was when his dad got captured, he gets in his car and like slams on the dashboard. It looks so stupid. It looks almost like it's supposed to be funny, but it's not.
Yeah, one scene that shined also is when the third trap when it kills that girl and they just have this slow motion walk scene of him walking out. Like That has been the corniest thing in the movie.
Yeah. That does remind me. There's so many trailer shots and like trailer lines that they just kept in the movie, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Oh yes. Speaking of trailer, that tease they did, like towards the finale, that was so annoying. Which I guess another spoiler warning. In the trailer, they showed Banks, and he was like handcuffed to a pipe and with a saw in his hand. So obviously, you think it's going to be a reference. First movie is to cut off his hand, but he just uses the saw to grab a hairpin and then get him up, get himself out that
Dude,
way. Like that was so
exactly.
stupid.
They do exactly, exactly. Like when I was going through the movie, I was like looking forward to that scene coming up from the trailers because like, oh my, they're really gonna do like a Saw One reference there, and yeah, and then it comes up. He grabs the key and gets out. I'm like, are you serious right now? You promoted this scene so much in the movie, only to just do that, and it just felt like Chris Rock's character didn't even face much consequences in the movie. I mean, I guess it was because he's not really a dirty cop, but, like, there's just no stakes for him. I mean, yeah, I just thought maybe even if he just cut off his hand or something, but nope. And if they were gonna do that, just don't promote it so much like he was about to.
Yeah. You did just mention the whole message of the movie, I guess, which is that like I don't know, it's not anti-cop, it's like calling out bad cops. And I think they go with that message so hard, a little harder than they need to. It'd be like in the Saw movies where he'd be like, "Oh, these guys like you committed insurance fraud. Now you're in a trap." And they made the entire movie about insurance fraud, and they would never shut up about insurance fraud. That's how it feels in this movie, you know?
Yeah. Um, one other thing, kind of last thing, is the humor in this movie. I just felt like in all the other Saw movies, like I really didn't think of humor as something that was necessary for it. The only time I can really think of it was like maybe the first one was Adam's character, but like the humor in this movie just felt overdone. I always took the Saw movie as something more serious, and I get this is kind of like like kind of a reboot where it's just doing its own thing, but I just feel like the humor was kind of stale.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There was some times where I like kind of chuckled, but I mean, if they just spent that amount of time they were trying to make jokes on like more important stuff, probably would have been a better movie.
Yeah. I think I said pretty much everything I need to say. I was just really, really disappointed. Because I've seen like all the Saw movies and stuff, and I thought that this reboot was a chance to like kind of fix the series up after the series kind of went to a mess after Saw 5 and forward. I thought Jigsaw was a pretty garbage movie too. And this movie's just not that good either. I think the series is just really falling down right now.
Yeah, I agree. If I had to give a closing point, it would just be that there was like 3 or 4 traps total, and each of them got like 5 minutes or less of screen time. So that was my biggest complaint with the whole movie. But other than that, yeah, I agree with everything you said. And that overall, I thought it was just a boring movie.
Yeah, I'm just really disappointed. Um, I think that's going to conclude. Just let us know your thoughts down below if you enjoyed this movie, where you would rank in like the Saw franchise, and yeah, thank you for listening.